welcome to a new episode of Motors for the Masses. Now, do you ever find yourself in the position where you want to spend £5,000 or £6,000 on a car because you don't want to be tied down to any kind of finance? Perhaps, like me, only £5,000 or £6,000 is your happy limit. What we have for you today is luxury motoring on a budget. On my left, we have the 2006 Mercedes E280 3-litre V6 petrol. On my right, we have the 2006 BMW 535d M Sport. This Mercedes E280 3-litre V6 petrol has 228 brake horsepower, but just 221 pounds-foot of torque. MPG figures, being a petrol, are between 22 and 35 miles per gallon. On average, this one tends to do around 30. Of course, that is depending on road conditions, whether you're using the aircon, the load, how many passengers you've got, the driving conditions, and of course, the driver's ability. What I mean by that is whether you drive with your foot going like a kangaroo, or whether you speed up, slow down, or whether you get to the speed limit as fast as you possibly can. This one, being the avant-garde model, has lots of different features. It comes as standard with the built-in screen that houses the sat-nav and the stereo and the DVD player. Of course, the DVD is switched off when the driver is driving, but you can still hear it. The CD player is a built-in 6 CD changer, which is built into the dashboard here. The sat-nav console is neatly tucked away in the boot, and all the buttons you touch are silky smooth. Everything opens gently like a Star Trek Enterprise ship. Whoosh. Doesn't make that noise, but you know what I mean. It's luxurious. Not like your old Fords with the clunk and the click and the twist and the snap and the crack and the bang. Everything's gentle and smooth and refined and lordly. This particular car, having done 77,000 miles with one previous owner, drives very, very smoothly. This road surface is not fantastic, but the only thing you can hear is the tyres on the road. I don't have to speak loudly, I don't have to shout, there's no roar from the engine, there's no roar from the exhaust. Even though it is a twin exhaust and a 3-litre V6, it's refined and as beautiful as you would imagine a Mercedes to be. This car would even tell a library to be quiet. So now we're in the 535d M Sport. Now this has a 3-litre straight 6 rather than a 3-litre V6 that the Mercedes has. This one develops between 268 and 281 brake horsepower with a 0 to 60 time of 6.2 in comparison to 7.1 in the Mercedes. As I look around my cockpit, it seems not quite as refined as the Mercedes. You do have this iDrive system where you fiddle with buttons and things come up on a console. Now the Mercedes does have the console in the middle, but this is up here on the dashboard, which is just as convenient. Not much difference really. You have got this aluminium carbonized trim, and it does feel very comfortable, but whereas the Mercedes has comfortability on a soft and executive way, this feels more sporty but also more supported. Now with the torque figures, we're looking at near on 400 pounds-foot of torque, which is a lot of power for a car in comparison to the Mercedes that only develops 221 pounds-foot of torque. Now whereas this is also a 3-litre, it does have a bi-turbo, which means it's got a small turbo and a slightly bigger turbo working in unison to put that power down when you really need it. be exact, 413 pounds-foot of torque, which is, as I said, a lot of power for a car this size. Apparently it's coming up to 7 o'clock, and this is your news. What was that about? Okay, now this also has a DVD player, but obviously it plays up on here, and like the Mercedes, when you've got a DVD playing, as soon as you pull away, it cuts it off, because your driver is not allowed to watch the DVD. However, when you put your foot down, it goes. Now, we already know that the top speeds for these two cars are both limited to 155 miles per hour. However, the Mercedes does a 0 to 60 in 7.1, whereas the BMW does a 0 to 60 in 6.2. However, we have a runway, we have two cars, let's have a drag race. Okay, I'm going to get technical for a minute. Now, when you look at these cars, they are very big cars. They are both actually 4.85 meters long and 1.8 meters wide. They both weigh 1,600 kilos. But what about inside? Seated inside, this very comfortable figure-hugging seat means I have a nice driving position and still plenty of room in the back. So here I am in the back with my tape measure, and I still have 9 inches between the seat and my knees. Whereas in the Mercedes, again, a nice comfortable seat, but not quite as hugging. It feels more, dare I say, luxurious. However, in the back, once again, with my trusty tape measure, I am 9 inches away. However, this car does have one special feature which I particularly enjoy. Whether somebody is sitting in the back and they are asleep, or just for fun, push a button on the dashboard and this happens. Of course, the idea is to get better view behind you, but it's much more fun when someone is asleep with their head against the seat. Now, one of the questions I know you're dying to have the answer for is, can you fit a normal sized person in the boot of one of these cars? Well, let's find out. The answer to that question for the Mercedes is simply yes, you can. Now, can the same be said for the BMW? The answer to that question is also yes, you can. Brand new, these cars are similar price. The Mercedes between £27,000 and £47,000. The BMW, £27,000 to £52,000, depending on the level of trim and what all the other features you wanted in the car. So there you have it. These two cars may be 10 years old, But if you are looking for luxury motoring on a budget, you can't get better than the BMW 535d or the Mercedes E280. So where these are quite comparable, it simply comes down to which one Joe Public prefers. I have an idea. Let's ask Joe Public. So, Joe Public, which car do you prefer, the Mercedes or the BMW?
For me, it's the BMW.
So there you have it. Mr. Joe Public would have the BMW. Now, you may have to pay an extra £1,000 to £1,500 to get this over the Mercedes, but we've performed the best consumer research that money could buy, and Mr. Joe Public wants this. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Please tune in next time, where we'll be having 2 more motors of the masses. Until then, drive safely, but have fun.